All right, so now we got to graph this circle. So first off, how do we even know it's a circle? Well, notice that when we're talking about circles up here, you've got like x plus 3 squared. And so if you multiplied that out, you'd end up with like an x squared. And same thing with the y's, you'd end up with a y squared. So we know that this is a circle because see how we have both the x squared and the y squared. If there was just one of them, it would be a parabola. And they're both the same sign. They're both positive. Notice that that was actually critical up here as well. They would both be positive up here as well. And so this is a circle. It just doesn't look like how we're used to. When the equation looks like this, we can't get any information out of it. So that's why we have to make it look like a circle. So let's write down first to remind ourselves what do circle equations look like when they're in their good form. Should be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So that's what we're going for. So notice the key here is we have a squared thing plus a squared thing. We have to make this into squared things. And we've talked about that before. I think that was chapter 1, section 2. We've got to complete the square. That's a thing we can do. So how is that going to work out? Well, first off, we've got x's and y's. So let's rearrange it a little bit. Because remember, it's addition and subtraction. We can just move all those around. So let's make it to where the x's are together and the y's are together. Because we're really going to do both of those two parts separately. And now, how do you complete the square? Well, remember, I just do it based on a little pattern. So I'm going to say we're going to make this x plus 2 squared. And again, why x plus 2 squared? So let's come out here to the side and let's say, what is x plus 2 squared? Well, if you FOIL it out, x plus 2 squared is x squared plus 4x plus 4. But then notice that when we have what we want up here, we don't want that plus 4 at the end. We just want the x squared plus 4x. So to do that, honestly, we just simply subtract the 4. Because see how now what this entire expression is that, and the 4's just cancel each other out. But this is good because now we have this squared thing that we want right here. Now we can see what is the x coordinate of the center. It's negative 2. And so that's to complete the square pattern. So what did we do? We looked at this number and we took half of it and put that there. And then we took this number and we squared it and put that there. And so that's the same thing we're going to do with the y's. So let's come over here with the y's. And let's say we're going to do half of that. So y minus 3 squared. And then minus 3 squared. And again, remember why. Because what is y minus 3 squared? Y minus 3 squared is y squared minus 6y plus 9. But then we don't want the plus 9. So that's why we subtract that plus 9. And then we still have the plus 12. So before we go on, I just want to point out everything that was done here. So this expression right here was turned into this entire expression right here. Right? Look at that for a sec. Make sure that checks out. Those two green expressions are equal. And similarly, this red highlight right here is the same thing as this red highlight right here. Look at that for a second. Make sure those two things are equal. And then lastly, we just have everything that we didn't touch. We have the plus 12 equals 0. So now that we're here, let's just one last time glance up. What are we looking for? We're looking for just having the plain x squared thing plus the plain y squared thing equals some number. So let's finish that out and do that. So let's take these numbers, negative 4, negative 9, positive 12. Combine those, you get negative 1, and then move it to the other side. So now our good form of the equation is x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 1. And that tells us everything we need to know. Now we're able to graph it well. Because now we can just immediately see what is the center, opposite sine, and what is the radius? Well, it's the square root of 1, So the radius of this circle is just 1. So let's graph it then. So let's put on our axes. We've got our center at -2, +3. And then we just have a radius of 1. So I'm just going to go 1 in every direction. And there's our circle. That's what our circle is going to look like. So notice that like the final step of this question was like the same thing as all these questions, just graphing the circles using the center and the radius. The difference between this question is you look at this equation, you just see it's in a different form than what you need it to be in. And so you got to put it in the right form. And how do you put it in the right form? You just complete the square.